instead of correcting the deficiencies that were found in the building. The Verdigris School has not had orders written to close at this time. There are orders written to correct life safety issues only. There's another sentence I'd be glad to read it, but it has nothing. But this is from.
I think I could shed some light on that too, if I may.
On his.
For you, I have a question for you, and
did that answer your question?
Well, no, not really, because
okay.
Again, as I said, the fire marshal does not close the schools. It's up to the county attorney. What makes you believe that the county attorney would not close down Parking School? And Verdigris, no, you're right, they did not close the school. They brought in orange snow fence and closed off portions of the school that were no longer in compliance and were not brought up to compliance by the time the fire marshal mandated them. What leads you to believe that that would not happen here at all?
Well, the question would be is who ordered them to put the fences up and do that?
Well, that's up to the county attorney to enforce that.
Yes, and I haven't, maybe you can illumine us on the law, but in most states that I function in, county attorneys won't take that action until a state agency comes to them and says, here's the following information, they have not complied, we need you to now execute the order. So if the state fire marshal's office did not give that order in Verdigris, which they did not, then for the and illuminous, but I don't know of elected county attorneys who would act autonomous from the fire marshal's expertise and go ahead and issue that order.
I have a letter from the state fire marshal.
There's a gentleman back here had his hand up for a long, long time.
Well, this is related to the fire marshal question. It's from the state fire marshal. It's received by our school today. The first line reads, there appears to be some confusion regarding the Ord Public Schools plan of correction for the high school. I'm not going to read the whole letter. I've got some copies I'll share with you. The last sentence in the letter, ultimately, the corrections will have to be completed or the state fire marshal's office will begin the process of vacating the school until life safety deficiencies in the existing building are corrected.
And again, the CARE 5 committee has no problem with taking care of those issues. As you will see, there's a letter on most of your chairs signed by Superintendent Kroger. If the bond issue fails, this whole issue will be taken care of by a sprinkler system. The public, I understand, has not been told that. That letter was not given to us from the school district in our request. It's provided to us by the state fire marshal himself. So we don't deny that these issues have to be dealt with, and we don't deny that the process could be engaged and that they ultimately have the authority to do it. The point is, since 1989, it hasn't been done. School boards proceed ahead to take care of the proper steps to answer the corrections and satisfy the state's concern. Do they have the authority? Yes. Have they done it since 1989? No. Not even in Verdigris. And I'd like to see a county attorney who executes such an order apart from the recommendation from a state agency who has the expertise in that. Well, yeah, that's the other question is, was that fence put up in Verdigris at the time of a bond vote? Does Andrew or whoever he is, do you know? A lot of times those fences and stuff are put up as agitprop or drama to frighten voters, to make them believe the state's done this and we're going to lose our school.
My understanding was that this was done just before the bond vote, and the bond did pass.
But again, who ordered it? Larry's right. That gentleman's been extremely patient. He's next.
You want me to come up there? Yeah. Use mine.
Yep.
Okay, fine. Yeah, you can just
My name's Kurt Petska. I graduated in 2003 from the high school. I was involved extensively in the wiring and hooking up of computers in the high school with Paul Monkel, who was the tech supervisor at that point. When I worked with him, we worked on the wiring closet that is in that dead-end corridor going to the library, and we talked about the reasoning for what was being done with that hallway. The reason that is a dead-end corridor, and I have talked to the fire marshal about this, is not because the door is locked at this point. It is because the doorway needs to be as wide as the hallway. Now, because of the wiring closet, it can't be, because it shuts off half of that hallway going into there. If you move that wiring closet, you have to rewire pretty much the whole school. And that will cost a lot of money, because there's so much stuff in that wiring closet, you can't even get into it. So.
Why did you put it in the first place? Say 2000.
Yes. Yes, but I talked to him recently about there being part of that doorway shut off for the wiring closet.
Should we play the audio again?
You can play it, but I've talked to him recently, and you have your information from him. I have my information from him.
So we have a confused fire marshal.
So then how can you say anything that you said?
What we're saying is we have asked him if he would like to change his report.
Okay.
And he says, no, it stands. Now, that part we can document. If he changes it, it's like the letter that it comes out today. When we get it, we look at it. But
If you don't mind, I have another comment.
Well, if you have a question,
No, I have a really quick comment. As far as the small gym goes, even if it stayed and stood where it is right now, it's obsolete. I mean, the court, you have barely enough room for any kind of basketball practice because the three-point line runs into the wall. Now, I myself have ran into the wall during basketball practice and separated my shoulder. Now, tell me that you don't need more space in a gym when kids are getting hurt. And they do have PE in that gyms.
kids are getting hurt on competitive gyms. Kids are getting hurt on football fields. Kids get hurt when they're in athletics. That's the nature of that.
People with their mats up on the walls. A lot of schools will put mats, cushioning mats on those short walls.
Sorry, but I'm 200-some pounds in high school. When you run into a mat that's that thick, it doesn't do a whole lot.
Well, I suppose if you run into someone in the football field the same way you're on the basketball court, it's still going to hurt. The point is, people that competitive athletics, that's part of, no pain, no gain. We're not saying everybody should slam into the wall and hurt themselves, but practice is practice. And
I guess that maybe brings a point up: is where is our kids' safety really at risk? Where do kids get hurt? Do they get hurt in the school, or do they get hurt out on the ball field? I don't have those statistics, but I assume that athletics has a lot more injuries than English class. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
My name's Jason Alexander. Mr. Dorr, I have a couple questions for you. And Alan, is he still here?
He got sick.
He got sick?
Yes, he said, I'm getting sick and I may have to leave.
Okay. I'm curious, first of all, and since he's not here, I'll just ask the question, then I'll move on to Mr. Dorr and ask that question real quick. He talked about the $700,000 building they were putting up in York. And I have a very, very good friend that's an assistant high school principal at York who just recently moved to head principal at York because they hired another administrator to put in the $8.9 million middle school they just built with 2 competition courts. And I would be curious to find out if what the longevity of the $700,000 building they're building is. But Alan's not here, so I suppose we can't get an answer to that. The second question is, Mr. Dorr, Could you tell me